Okay, so on this first slide, I can identify native Australian animals that live in tree hollows. So the focus is naming the different animals. Yeah, so the first one is, let's have a look up here, that's the oriental dollar bird, right? So we have this as a reference to help us. So because it obviously, you know, when you're starting out you're learning, so we don't want to make it too hard. We want to make it fun. There you go. So you just drag it over there and that's it. So it's a matching. Match the picture with the name. Okay, oriental dollar bird. So the next one, I mean, you can have a little guess and then look at the pictures as well. So here we go. What's this next one? This is a red-tailed black cockatoo. I know that one. You know, so you can also ask, have you seen one of these? Yes. Okay, so let's put this back because I was here we go. Now the next slide, I can identify native Australian animals that live in tree hollows. Same thing, but this time without any help. I can identify native Australian animals, so this is the same objective, different animals. So keeping it the same so that it's easier to understand, yeah? So you know the instructions already, so you're just learning different names of animals. Here we go. Just group them like so, just to make it easier as well. You can talk about amphibians and so forth as well if you would like to go in deeper. Here we go. This one again, the same thing. It doesn't have the help for it. Another thing you can do is talk about the name. So, oh right, carpet python. Python, carpet. Oh, well, look, this snake looks like it has a carpet on it, actually, like a design. So perhaps that's the carpet python, you know. So talking about the names as to, you know, giving clues as to what animal it might be. All right. Now, the key word here is tree hollows. Later on, we will look at what that actually means, okay? Here we go again. Anastasia making a video. It doesn't have help. So another little practice. Okay, I can match interesting facts with native Australian animals that live in tree hollows. Now we can match using the arrows. Okay, there we go. We have the pictures as reference. This is the information. I am easily recognized by my vibrant red collar around my neck. Okay, that's an instant clue. I'm restricted to the northern parts of Australia where I hang out in really noisy groups. That's right. Now, even though this is very obvious, yes, exactly. It also gives us a little bit more information so we can learn more about the animal. There you go. So you just place the arrow and you just keep going. And coincidentally, this design is based on my Montessori training, and the Montessori materials that I learnt about. Here we go. These are the answers, so you can match. And again, it's very good because children learn new vocabulary such as breed. You may like to highlight the special vocabulary and talk about it before doing this, so it's easier to understand. Talk about the months, for example, here as well. You know, what the weather is like in certain other areas that we don't normally live in. Anastasia, Mummy's trying to do this. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting a little bit further. I can research interesting facts about my favorite native Australian animal that lives in tree hollows. So the next thing is research. So it's a scaffolding process. Yeah. My favorite native Australian animal which lives in tree hollows at Lee Point, Darwin is, now this is a familiar local place, so children can actually go and find these animals as well. So as an excursion, for example, go and find them, come back, talk about them. I mean, you're not going to find all of them, but you know, which ones did you see? You can make up a tally, draw them, whatever, you know, whatever. Maybe a film of birds at Lee Point. There are plenty out there. Which ones did you see in the film? Okay, some interesting facts about, so whichever chosen animal are, and then we can list them as a whole class. And then they can go off and do that on their own, depending, of course, how old the students are and their capabilities. Here we go, the next slide. We're focusing on the red-winged parrot. It's important, I think, and this is part of my Montessori training as well, that we give the children not just a drawing, a realistic drawing, but not also an animation, because we want to see what they really look like in a picture, like a photograph of it. All right, so I can draw and label a native Australian animal that lives in tree hollows. Now you can actually take this, bring it out here. You can use arrows, so for example, to point to the different parts, or you can take the actual word and place it next to the animal where it is. You may decide to put an arrow there. All right. Now the next step, of course, would be to describe it. Describe the wing. So here we go. It's a red, and looking at this name, it says it's a red-winged parrot. So it gives us a clue as to what it is, why it's named so. Children can have a go, I think, at naming the animals. Like guess what animal this might be, you know, by looking at the appearance of the animal, maybe even the noise it makes, the behavior, that sort of thing. Okay, now here we go. Now you might like to show what are tree hollows before you venture into, I can identify native Australian animals that live in tree hollows, so that they know what tree hollows are. Okay, but I've put it at the end because I like that the children can use their imagination a little bit. They can learn about the animals, you know, imagine what is a tree hollow. What do you think it is, you know? And then here we go. I can draw a tree hollow. Now, tree hollows are very different. They all look very different. We can talk about why. You know, it takes the way they are formed and how long it took for them to form in that way. All that takes into, you know, the type of tree is a consideration. So here's some information that you can read about what are tree hollows. And of course you can also get, you can find a film that explains it and why they are important. You can delve in greater depth. Now I've just made a basic film slide that you can move into a little more. Here we go. One aspect that my classroom is working on is making boats, you know, and these boats, particular boats, are called canoes. And I want to look now, we've had a go at making canoes using man-made materials, you know, like plastic, cardboard, that kind of thing. Then we looked at natural materials, compared both. We looked at whether they were waterproof, not waterproof, the textures and so forth. Now, I would like to look here at this film here. It's a YouTube link. I don't know, I mean, I do know, but I can't insert it for some reason into this one. But you can insert a film, usually in a slide. It makes it much nicer, but instead, because I cannot, I've just put the information in there. You can copy this link and place it into your browser. Oops. And it should come up. Okay, I'll just ungroup so to allow that to happen. Okay, so here we go. There we go. Copy into your browser, and I think this is a very nice one. It's a very good film to show because it show, and I learned something. I learned about bark used for canoe making, and look at how simple they look. You know, they and they did the job. You know, it's just and it also talks about the activities, the traditional activities, the hunting and gathering and all that, and how it was a necessity. They didn't destroy the whole tree, right? Just the bark, and it left a scar. So that you can make a connection because it shows also. Here we go. It also shows what. So interesting. It shows what the, you know, if you look at the tree, it shows, you can kind of tell what it was used for, you know, like for example this one, that's and how big the canoe was. I find that really interesting. So, and this is the Murray River. I have not been able to locate a film just as good as this one based in the NT, which is why I used this. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much.